I have to be honest with you, I normally wouldn't have visited Estoril. It wasn't really planned to be a stop in my One Lap Europe trip. And what basically happened was this. I was in Portugal to drive Portimao, and I realized that both tracks are gonna be open at the same day. So a stupid plan started forming in my head about driving Portimao in the morning, then traveling 300 kilometers to Lisbon and driving Estoril in the evening. And this is a type of Costas plan, you know, that creates possibilities for adventure, but also for many things to go wrong. And happily, I didn't really do this because I had so much fun at Portimao. And if you don't know why, then stop this video, go watch the Portimao one, and then come back here to finish this one. But yeah, I had so much fun driving Portimao that I could not really stop. And what basically happened at the end of the day, I said, I would really like to drive Estoril as well. Could that be a possibility? And I started checking things, and it happened to be that there is a Gedli Racing Track Day happening a couple of days after. And I had a friend in Lisbon, my friend Joao, that is also a fantastic photographer. He told me, man, if you are ever in the area, I had no problem to have you at my house for a couple of days. So we exchanged a few messages, and then out of nowhere, we basically had a plan. So I drove from Portimao to Lisbon, all together with the rest of the MX-5 crew. And I said I will spend a few days in a cool place, see a little bit of Lisbon, that is a place that I haven't seen before, and drive another iconic F1 track. So everything in my head was solid, except the fact that the weather started changing, and when we arrived at the day of the track day, it actually started raining cats and dogs. So I wasn't really sure if the weather was gonna change and if we're gonna have a dry track, but this is the beauty of being in Portugal, even in the winter, you know, and even starting with the wet track, it basically dried out very quickly, and by the middle of the day we had beautiful dry track. I managed to have a ton of fun, and it was a little bit tricky because the car was kind of breaking apart, or to be more accurate, it was actually not breaking, but I will come to this later in the video. Let me speak a little bit about the actual racetrack. So Estoril, it's a track that is basically 50 years old. It has, of course, F1 history. An interesting tidbit might be that Ayrton Senna won his first race there. So actually being in that place at the place that Ayrton Senna won for the first time, and then being in Imola. You understand how all these things sort of build emotion when you visit all these iconic destinations that many important for us racing drivers have been there before. And that is before you actually look at the place. And the place is very cool. It's literally inside the city of Lisbon. So especially here, like in Turn 7, as you drive, you can actually see the houses ahead of you. And I think for audiences in the US, that might be used to more remote locations for the racetracks, this stuff, like having such a cool racetrack inside a big city is clearly part of the appeal. So how do you drive Estoril? It basically has a huge straight, so especially if you're in a very fast car, approaching the braking zone for Turn 1 is a quite tricky thing. Turn 1 is actually a little bit tighter than you think. You could put one wheel or two off, but try to stay inside the track limits. Then Turn 2, a fast right-hander. As you get ready, a little bit downhill braking zone for Turn 3, that sort of starts turning uphill in the exit. Both Turn 3 and Turn 4 are actually 180 degrees switchbacks, but the important one, in my head at least, is Turn 4, because Turn 5 is actually just a kink. So from the exit of Turn 4 to basically Turn 6 is one big accelerating zone, and actually you can see from the track map how big this zone is. Both Turn 3 and Turn 4 are actually quite late apex, but especially for Turn 4 is important because, as we said, the importance is on the exit. Try to not get on the power too early because of course you're going to have the car oversteering on you. Turn 5, very fast kink, and you focus on the braking zone at Turn 6. There are two ways to do Turn 6. It's again standard late apex corner that you can either V or go for one late apex. In the majority of my laps, I actually went for the one late apex that I think was a little bit of the easier approach. It is a little bit of a pity because I didn't have enough time to collect data and test it back to back, but I believe the V approach here is faster. Again, quite a long straight after for Turn 7. Turn 7 is a little bit blind as you turn in, you cannot really see properly the exit, but the tricky thing is actually Turn 8. It's very easy to overslow yourself for Turn 8. It's actually much faster than you think. The important braking zone is here for Turn 9. So I found myself over braking for Turn 8 while you can actually carry quite a bit more speed and still be able to come all the way to the right to actually do Turn 9. Turn 9 and Turn 10 is your standard S's, although it's uphill, bumpy. You go over the curb. It's not common to see photos of cars going almost in two wheels there. My car was certainly not happy. The important is, of course, not Turn 9, is the exit of Turn 10. And my car there was almost impossible to put the power down. The car would unload the inside wheel, and I could not really find one line that could work. And remember that you want sort of a clean exit, but at the same time, you don't want to do too many meters. So you should not really use more track than you should. And of course, you have to still get the car completely to the right to prepare it for the last two corners of the track, left and right. Turn 12, as you can see in the track map, the last corner of the track is a very long one. And it's basically very easy there to lose a little bit your way and use more track than you should. So basically, all the way from Turn 10 to the last corner of the track, it's all about balancing how many meters you want to do and how quickly you can get back on the accelerator. So try to find that sweet balance there. Don't do too many meters, but still try to get on the power as quickly as possible for the last corner of the track because there is this huge straight after. That is basically Estoril. I don't think it's a particularly tricky track. I would like to be able to drive a little bit more, but as I said, the car was breaking down. And let me be a little bit more clear about this. I have to be honest and say that the car didn't have particularly good brakes through the whole year. However, I was going very quickly through expendables. So already at the end of my track day at Portimao, I saw that the brakes were really, really low. And I wasn't really sure if I would be able to make it at Estoril, but I still tried to drive as many laps as I could before the rotors completely cracked. And then I found myself in a bit of a difficult situation because I was basically in the other side of Europe and my rotors were completely cracked. The car was basically undrivable. And these wheelwood rotors might be very common in the US, but are not really common in Europe. And I didn't really have a solution. So my friend Joao, that also happens to be like an MX-5 owner, he actually called a few guys. I also sent a few messages. And basically by the end of the day, we didn't have one, but we actually had two solutions. So I cannot really express my gratitude to the whole MX-5 community in Portugal and everywhere, but specifically in Portugal. It was amazing that Gonzalo, a friend, common friend, he actually had a set of rotors for his car that he hasn't used yet. So he basically gave me his brand new rotors and I was able to put this in my car. Joao's brother took time from his day to actually free one of his lifts and do the job for me. And all that meant that I could basically have a working car by the end of that night and I could drive to Madrid and do Jarama as well. So all my trip came together thanks to the help of all these people. And you might realize already that this is a common thread through all these visits. I keep speaking about our friends there and our friends here and how the people were so important. But I have to clarify that for me, all the experiences around Lisbon, going to SX Garage, the place that all this fast Turbo MX-5 magic happens, and then going to Concept and seeing all these cool classic cars they have there, driving by the beautiful coastal roads, like into the sunset, and doing all these cool rally stages around Lisbon, and of course, speaking with people about cars and meeting new enthusiasts, people that you haven't spoken with before, and you still realize that you all speak the same language. All these memories sometimes are more important than going on track and having like a new personal best. And this is sort of the theme of all these visits, and this is what we are trying to do with this One Lap Europe trip, and this is what we are trying to pass to you guys. I hope you enjoyed this. There is only 2 videos left, and they are both very important. I think you can understand which tracks are left. I consider them like my first and my second home. They're going to be emotional videos, they're going to be important videos, and we're going to finish with a bang, I guarantee you this. And I hope all these things gets you pumped about getting your cars ready. I hope it gets you pumped about driving on track. So stay tuned out there, and see you in the next video.